This video is going to show you Solar Master Nightfall, showing you how to farm the particular Nightfall as of today. If you didn't know, there's 3 Nightfalls that appear each week now. It's not just one Nightfall. And the reason why I say it's 3 different is because whatever daily modifier is up impacts greatly on how fast you can clear that Nightfall and how you play it and stuff. I'm a fan of it, but also not much of a fan. I would prefer just a Nightfall to be the Nightfall. The weekly Nightfall should be the weekly Nightfall. But having said that, some of these modifiers are super fun. It's just that not all of them are fun. Like Empalade isn't so fun, if I'm being honest. You can spam machine gun and stuff, but you're just waiting for lightning crystals to come up, let's be honest. Superconductor's also decent, but it's nowhere near as good as lightning crystal, which is up today. Friday to Saturday's reset. So if you want to farm Devil's Lair, today's to do it. It's the best time this weekend to farm it, because after today's reset, you're on a far worse modifier than what it is today. So it's time this. So if you're available, farm it, and then, you know, it's best to do that rather than trials today, for example. That's what I think anyways. And then when the modifier rotates, then you can go and do trials or whatever it is. So we're using the exotic helmet Eye of Another World. Obviously I've already farmed this on a Titan with lightning crystals and showing you the setup. Obviously it's going to be Storm Grenade, Heart of Inmost Light. It's going to be the best build for this. But Warlock's a little confused in PvE right now. There's a lot of Warlocks just sort of fed up, switching to Titans because they're not happy with Arc 3.0. Neither am I fully. I'm not fully satisfied with it. I'm sort of here and there with it. There's good things and bad things about it, but it's definitely nowhere near as strong as it should be. But what build can you use to be effective, sort of like a Titan, in these lightning crystal Nightfall modifiers? Well, I have Another World, the helmet, because this gives you increased recharge rate to your stats, and it can go beyond to your 10 stat as well. So it's a very good helmet. But the point of it is that it stacks with lightning crystals. So enhanced ability stacks with Eye of Another World, which means you're getting 6-7 second grenades, providing that you get ionic traces and stuff. And you have a good build on, like you saw my build at the start of the video, just to remind you, grenade wise, we've got firepower on, so when we get charged with light, we get some grenade energy, and yeah, we get some grenade energy when we have charged with light, right? We've got elemental well build on, but more importantly, we've got bomber, so a solar class piece, and a stasis gauntlets, because we can use then grenade kickstart. So grenade kickstart, bomber, firepower with an elemental well, combine that all together, lightning crystals plus the helmet. That means you can spam your grenades. We went with pulse grenade. This is so important that you pick the right nade, right? Because that's what you're going to be doing in these. And what's the best grenade on Warlock? Well, it's pulse. It's not storm, because storm is an enhanced trait to Titan with the touch of thunder fragment thing. Right, whereas the Warlock doesn't have that, surprisingly. Warlocks are generally kings of grenades. Not the case, obviously, this time around. But, as I said, you can still make it work, as you can see. So, what I'm doing here is trying to spawn kill all the enemies from the doors. Right, I'm trying to show you how to sort of be efficient in this and sort of learn you the spawns rather than sitting back. I don't recommend that you sit back. Have fun. When a Nightfall like this comes up, have fun in it. Buildcraft all day with it, because when it's gone, it's gone. Then you're back to boarding all days, right? Obviously, this is fun when lightning crystals up. So it's good to sort of optimize enemy spawns, practice your grenade skills, stuff like that. So as you can see, as I say, I'm spawn killing enemies from doors as much as possible. We went with obviously Arc Soul, Electrostatic Mind. Hot Knife is on, so we went with a solar bow. So our bow isn't going to take advantage of the arc acute burn, but there's that many solar shanks that it's kind of worth it to have a solar weapon on. So that's the only reason, right? But it could have been the other way around. It could have been a different modifier, like Arachno, which would have been better. But the solar shield to deal with, so I would recommend a solar energy on, and then an arc in your heavy, because your heavy's sort of, it's good to take advantage of the burn even more so on your heavy. So go with the arc linear. Arc linear is best in slot. I went with the Pitchglass. Very good linear. Amazing. Obviously we're doubled up on linear. We've got Arbalest, right? Because the Arbalest is really good at the boss fight. I generally don't whip out Arbalest. You'll notice just because I know how good it is, and I know how people know how to generally use it. But in a farm video, it's well worth putting on, right? I'm not using it all that much, but it's really good for tank section and the boss fight. So that's why we went with Arbalest. But there's many other options that I could have chose. On the Titan, I didn't even run Arbalest, I ran something else. So what I'm doing is I'm doing things a little different to what I generally would do, because I'm trying to speed this section up just a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is spawn kill the enemies from this side rather than going to my usual hidey place, where the at the back of the room you'll see. I think I end up going there eventually, but I'm going to take out these wizards first. I think I'm going to go there now. So yeah, sort of stood back there to get some of the enemies down first. Then we're going to come back here. After every phase, that's when, well, before the next phase starts, you always get the solar shanks. That's how you know you're approaching the next phase. We take down the solar wizards. There's a spawn right on top of me, which that's what I was waiting for. I want to pulse grenade that because I want to spawn kill the barrier. Right, we use Arbalest, then we use super. We may as well because we're getting plenty of supers here. Chaos Reach, of course, not the other one, just because it lacks damage and it's just not as accessible as this super, shall we say. It's just, as I say, it ain't doing the damage and stuff. You can up its damage. There is an exotic chestplate that does that, but for the most part, you want to pick Chaos Reach because it just does everything better than what the whatever the super's called, whatever the other one's called. So this is obviously, as you can see, this is a very good place to stand because the pulse grenade's doing a lot of chain and damage to all the enemies and the champs and stuff. So it's just a good place to obviously, you know, take down these overlords, and they will push, providing there's no hive up. Those two overlords will push you. If you have hive up, they won't. Notice the work that Arc Soul's putting in, very good work, but it is to be noted, I am at power, so Arc Soul's doing what it should be doing. The issue with Arc Soul is that it won't scale very well. When you get up to power, right, when you do a GM and you're 25 power under, it damage just isn't there for it. Now I done an Arc Soul solo GM last season, or was it the season before? No, I think it was last season. Before Arc came out, before Arc 3.0 came out, and it was very poor. I'm interested to see what it would be like in GMs this time round. Now all the GMs are Arc burn, so they are going to be shown in the best possible light. So we'll just see how Arc Souls are going to interact in the GM environment. So I'm going to stand over to the right here just so I can get some damage into the champ without bothered by too many of the ads. This overload isn't stunning for some reason. This bow that I had on it had shoot to lure explosive. I didn't have much joy with it. It's alright, right? But I don't think I've got the right perks on it and stuff, because it wasn't stunning. It wasn't continually stunning that champ there. Slow charge, slow knocking of the arrows and stuff. So this roll that I've got, I'm not going to be using it again. It has got shoot to loot, which is useful. And explosive payloads on a bow is very good, but this particular bow, as I said, its charge time was just a little bit, with the bow, it was just a bit slow. It felt too sluggish, this bow. So we want to take out the snipers first. That's your biggest concern because of the damage that they can deal, right? Once they've been taken out, you can then focus the barrier. I'm going to use a super on this one as well, just because there is snipers at the very far back which can start to snipe you if you jump up in the air and stuff, or if you aggro the enemies. You'll see they'll start to snipe you a little bit. They're doing it right now. So I'm going to break shield with Arbalest, super, because this barrier is a bit of a nuisance, just because of the snipers over the other side. Then we'll get the ads to our left. Do this in this order, and you'll find that it's a lot easier, the tank section. Don't start the next phase until you're ready and stuff, because how you start the next phase, how it exactly starts, is distance based. So the further you push up on the map, so once you push to this building, that's when you get the 2 brigs and the tank spawning, as you can see, like so. I'm trying to get some kills on snipers, but they weren't on top of that building like they usually are. But what I generally do is fight from left first, because the left brig's easier to take than the right. because there's a lot of more cover on the left. There is also an overload that we haven't killed from the first phase of ads, which that overload is eventually going to come to us, which is what I want over this left hand side. Because just look at the visibility of the tank. The tank can't see you at all. So this is the strat that you want to be doing on Grandmaster as well, is fight from left first. Always left first, everything. Because a lot of the ads will come to the left. The brig on right won't. But that's not the point. It's the point of take down the left brig first and on all the enemies left hand side. There's also a barrier as well. This is a top tip. Don't start damage to the tank until you're ready, until the barrier is killed. The barrier down in the valley. That barrier needs to be taken out, because what you will do is if you do rush the phase with the tank and you do DPS, you're going to get more waves and an extra overload and stuff like that. And that barrier is just going to shield all the ads. I've had it happen to me in the past where that happens. So before you do anything, take down the initial champs. Don't deal with the tank until sort of ready to do that. And the key part is getting a lot of the snipers down, stuff like that. Prep. It's all about preparation. If you can get some good grenades, they group up on left hand side as well, the snipers. See, if you see that red box in front of me, once you push to there, that's when you get an additional spawn of the overload. Just, you can see there on the left hand side, as I said. So just be aware of that when you're dealing with the barrier. I mean, if you haven't pushed to the red box and you've got a good angle on the champ, that won't happen. But try and melt down that barrier before and then get out of there, because the overload's going to collapse on you. Now we've got brig on right to deal with. So we'll spam our pulse grenade, our heal and lift. Obviously, we'll try and get a good angle on the brig. The brig's all the way back, which isn't ideal. Keep aware on the your eyes on the tank as well at all times on its attacks, right? The arc one and obviously the red beam will one shot. So just be careful of it. But the idea here is just to keep using pulse grenade and have that tank, sorry, the brig sort of standing location. If you overload the tank, which you can do, the brig, sorry, you overload the brig with my bow, you can actually stop the brig from moving around too much. And you'll be able to see that the brig is overloaded by the red aura. If you see that red aura, it means they're overloaded, which you can overload all enemy types in the game. It's not just overload champs, which I think a lot of people miss out on that little detail. Notice I haven't used much ammo in here. Now I'm going to spam my heavy and my special on the tank. So I'm ready. This outside area is prepped. You want to ideally as well get the tank down as quickly as possible. So look at the damage that we're doing here. That's because of Sundering Glare, right? And the fact of the linear and its acute arc burn. So we can actually just really melt this tank down. There's going to be a ship coming as you break a leg. So just be careful, because the ship can kill you. Then we can just get back to taking down the tank. Now we can spam a bit of Arbalest, because chances are you've used a lot of heavy. We've took down the tank. Now we want to head for an overload, which there will be an overload in middle. That'll be the overload that spawned in when we were dealing with the barrier just a few moments ago. That overload will just actually sit in middle, which is a good time for you to just stand on top of this building and overload the champ to death. Because the champ doesn't know how to push up and jump up on buildings. I see that as an actual flaw to these champs. People say these champs are intelligent, but they can't jump up where you are. They're not programmed to know how to jump up to a space that's higher than where they're standing. They don't understand buildings and stuff, so they're not that smart. They're alright. But I feel as though we could have some improvement to champions, maybe a champion 2.0 update, right? Since they're adamant now that we're going to be having champs now for the next couple of years in this game, definitely. I can't see them taking champions out now because it's infested itself all the way into exotics and stuff now, and they're not going to change the entire system. So if we're going to stick with champs, update them. Make them a little bit better and more accessible to deal with and stuff. But also make them harder, but in a way that's funner to deal with. because it is very cut and dry with them, right? It's black and white. There's no grey with them. It's just kind of like you've got to stun them, and they have range drop off. They won't push you at certain locations and stuff like that. Like an unstoppable champ should be an unstoppable champ, right? Literally. And they will come to anywhere on the map to chase you down, no matter what. But they don't. Unstoppables don't understand corners and stuff like this. So they're not that intelligent, you know, of an enemy, is what I'm trying to explain. I would say Lightblade, you know, Lightblade, Alakul, he's far more intelligent than any champ in the game. So they can do it, just as I say, they would need to do with champs and make things a little bit more accessible with them, and I think that's what I would want. That would be my most requested thing, I think, if like for Nightfall, if they were to do anything with Nightfalls. I've heard that they are. I've heard that there's something happening with Nightfalls, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. So now we're at the boss fight, right? So you just want to deal with one of the Overlord at a time. If you can get both, you can sometimes if they're both stood next to each other. Because you've got an explosive style bow, it'll stun both of them. Right, but that didn't happen, so we'll just strafe in and out here. Get rid of the rest of the adds. And now we can be ready for damage. Now you can use a bit of your super, then some linear. You want to proc Sundering Glare if possible. You do need to be standing a far bit away from the boss though. I just used a bit of linear, then supered. That was 3rd damage. Right, and then we're good for phase 2. So you want to make sure that you do that. It will save you a lot of time. If you can get phase 1, if you can get the boss to immune straight away, that saves you a lot of time because you're already on phase 2. You'll get a bunch of solar shanks, of course. This is your safety zone, if you like. I'm sure most people know where to stand for Devil's Lair, but this is where you're standing, right? We're going to use the power of Arbalest to bypass elemental shields. And we're just going to spam as much Arbalest as possible. On this particular run, which was my first run, I got so lucky for ammo. Because famine's on, I actually ran this back, and the second run was worse than the first. I actually did it in like 21 minutes. But I wasn't getting ammo drops for Arbalest and stuff, so I posted this one instead, even though it was my first run. Probably a little bit more scuffed, right? Definitely a scuffed run a little bit. But I got the ammo, RNG was on my side with it. So we'll just finish off this final servitor. We'll get a pulse grenade on, ticking away, and try and get in all our damage as quickly as we can. There's enemies pushed though, so do 2 or 3 shots and then you want to go underneath. This is your secondary plan. This is where you can do damage if you can't do damage from upstairs. This is my GM strat. Whenever I'm on GM difficulty for this, I'll generally come down below, like especially on phase 2, phase 3, come down here because you can get some cheeky linear shots in and then retreat. But the adds aggro after like a second or two, so you can sort of de-aggro and re-aggro them, right? And it just gives you that time just to get a little bit of damage in and then out. We're down to, we're back to, sorry, we're on phase 3 now, of course. There's 2 Overlord champions to deal with. We're going to deal with the servitors first. I'm not interested in clearing out any adds here, really. Not too many of them. Just mainly the initial adds that I can see. Some solar shanks and stuff. But we're trying to bait the Overlords. This Overlord's at the back here. We've got a good pulse on. We use a bit of linear. Why not? We've got plenty of heavy. There is one more Overlord alive. Luckily he pushed. This is lucky RNG, to be fair. Like I say, on my second run that didn't happen. The Overlord didn't push for quite some time. And if there's a bunch of adds up, the Overlord, chances are, won't. He'll de-aggro to up top. And he'll sit up top until you sort of do something with the adds, clear them. Then the Overlord will start to push. So we'll just finish. This is the power of Arbalest. Just speeding everything up with the bypassing shields. Okay, that's the final server down. We couldn't get our damage in there quick enough. That's alright. We're going to go down below. We'll do a couple of linear shots and then you use your Chaos Reach in the end to sort of kill the boss. Which this was actually closer than what it needed to be. But anyways, that was the solo farm on this one, a Warlock with Arc 3.0. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.